At this time, the sheriff's office says that some residents on Red Hawk Canyon Road have self-evacuated. Bear Creek Road is closed for emergency crews, and residents in the area have taken to social media to post some photos of the fire. You see in the video here, large plume of smoke in the air, and that cloud can be seen miles and miles away in what looks like the area's downtown area. Now, fire crews are forward progress of the fire has actually been stopped, but look at these pictures. About a half hour ago, this is when they got a handle on it, but it all started about 11 this morning. A structure fire spread to nearby vegetation at the top of Middleton Drive and Red Hawk Canyon Road. Now, fire crews say that there are multiple resources for them at the scene, including plenty of air tankers and helicopters to fight the fire. County Animal Shelter has officers ready to rescue animals that might be in harm's way.
These are dogs that are brought in by Good Samaritans, police, sheriffs, fire, just found wandering and roaming around.
These are all ones that are not claimed right now. They're lost.
These are the household pets of owners who were forced to flee the fires in Paradise last week so quickly that they could not get home to take their animals with them.
I think this one's feeling better. He was a little scared earlier.
This woman came looking for a friend's pets.
3 dogs and 3 cats.
Also here are over 500 dogs whose owners, evacuees living in tents or cars or what have you, don't have the space or the means to care for their pets.
So we just make sure that they look like they're in good condition, and then we alert the vet, my baby.
This is all being organized by the North Valley Animal Disaster Group.
Looks like a tent. We do a break bulk operation here.
Mark Ackerman is pretty much the go-to in creating an emergency city.
Support Services Specialist.
A wealth of information when it comes to responding to destruction.
So there's tents, tables, lights, heating, air conditioning.
The campfire, his 41st disaster response.
So all you need is some muscle to stand that up.
In Chico, we're walking the distance of about a half mile.
And bring in the kitchen, bring in the showers, bring in the blue rooms.
With regard to our ongoing effort to identify unaccounted for or missing individuals, our capacity to generate or go through the information that we collected in the early stages of the event and take on new calls is increasing. To date, we've been able to resolve or account for 227 people who were reported missing or reported to be unaccounted for. That's an increase tonight of 27 people. The list, also the number of people who are still looking for, who are unaccounted for, has increased to 600.
California wildfires. A stunning new development this morning. Authorities say the number of people missing in the northern Camp Fire has skyrocketed now to more than 600. Families posting photos and details about their loved ones trying to find them, and the death toll from that fire alone, the worst in California history, has now climbed to 63.
Off of Pearson Road, just past Glen Drive, search and rescue crews from Amador and Kern counties were peeking into cars and looking through the remnants of homes. They go from what would have been door to door, spending as much time as they can looking for bone fragments of fire victims.
And we
gotta go. Come on.
You gotta run? Yep, gotta run. We go house to house, and that's it. We find whatever we find. If we find something, we call anthropology, and it goes on from there.
When remains are found, an anthropology team comes in. The work is careful and methodical.
Victims of this fire are being found in all sorts of locations, so be it inside of a structure, outside of a structure.
Some are choosing to stay open despite the unhealthy air. Night Beat's Maria Medina is in San Jose with reaction from parents tonight.
San Jose State University staff decided to close down today and tomorrow because of the bad air. Question is, why are some schools deciding to stay in session while others are not?
You smell the smoke the minute you step outside.
The air quality in the South Bay is so bad.
It keeps getting worse and worse.
That its air quality index hit levels higher.
There is a disorienting pace for those displaced. A traumatic journey Paradise evacuee Robert Bean is riding out.
Total loss. Both to adult children. We had multiple homes, and my parents lost their home to wildfire for the second time in a row. They were affected by the Napa fires.
Cal OES explains the absolute first step Sign up for FEMA disaster assistance online, on the phone, or in person.
For me personally, it was an online process, about 20 minutes.
And experts say the air could contain traces of not only wood smoke, but also plastics, solvents, and other chemicals that burned in Paradise. And with that in mind, we all wanted to know how hazardous is this air for our pets as well. CBS 13's Elisa Becerra is getting answers.
The air quality is unhealthy for you and your furry friends.
It damages their lungs, especially because they're smaller, they're lower to the ground where all the particles sink.
While you may smell smoke, your dog is smelling disaster.
So you can imagine every particle they're smelling. They know every loss. They know everything that's happening in that fire. And they're probably feeling pretty overwhelmed right now. You might notice them being a little clingy.
Denise Sanchez says her puppy Emmy has been a little more protective.
She is a beagle and she sniffs and smells everything. So, she seems a little bit more on alert.
The smoke blanketing the skies across the Sacramento region, causing many sports teams and athletes to face the adversity of the air quality. High school playoffs pushed back 1 week, with players practicing indoors.
I think it's the right thing to do. The weather is just crazy outside. It's getting worse as the week goes by.
So the air quality also forcing the 65th annual Causeway Classic to relocate from here at Aggie Stadium to 150 miles up the road to the University of Reno.
First and foremost, it's the well-being and safety of the student athletes that are involved. And to play in this kind of weather with the air quality, just still unknown going into Saturday. Everyone made the decision, and thank you to everyone involved for working together, especially on such a short notice.
Looking ahead to Thanksgiving morning, the 25th annual Run to Feed the Hungry, set to hit the streets of Sacramento. And there's no sign of the smoke slowing the pace of the race down.
Every single person inside the Disaster Recovery Center is navigating an overwhelming journey in desperate aid.
There's things like the deed to the house and birth certificates, which don't exist anymore.
It's just been so trying to figure out who you're supposed to call and where you go and who is there to help.
From DMV processing driver's licenses on site, employment and Social Security, to crisis intervention, Veterans Affairs, and disaster assistance.
Birth certificates, their property records, their deeds to their homes. We also have the Department of Social Security Administration here who lost their Social Security card.
Resources also include those missing
releasing
loved
a
ones.
staggering and sobering number last night, 631. That is the number of unaccounted for people as a result of the campfire that has burned in Northern California. Volunteers are now helping in the efforts to sift through the wreckage, looking for any remains. The situation's so bad, investigators are now using mobile DNA labs to help identify victims. The death toll at the moment stands at 63 in this fire, but that number likely to rise with still so many missing.
Well, you feel terrible for these people. It's been devastating for them, and I couldn't imagine coming back here if this was my home. Our hope is that if there are missing people, we can find them and bring some closure to people that need that.
Now, 10,000 structures destroyed in the campfire in Northern California. It's burning about 80 miles north of Sacramento, many of which are homes. We're hearing about 52,000 people at the moment are displaced, so a lot of people looking for shelter, looking for a
Campfire in
place.
Butte County. Within the past few minutes, CAL FIRE and other authorities have been providing some new numbers. Now, crews on the fire lines are making some progress.
But there is a jump in the number of people listed as missing, and the death toll is rising.
Ken Bastida in the newsroom. He's got the very latest for us tonight. Ken,
Yeah,
what
and
are the numbers?
it's not good news, guys. The Butte County Sheriff's Department just putting out some new numbers. The number of confirmed deaths now stands at 71 people, and that is 8 more than yesterday. Of those 71 victims, 58 have now been tentatively identified. Also tonight, a big jump in the number of those listed as missing. That is up to 1,011 individuals. They can't account for these people. It was over 600 yesterday. The sheriff's new numbers include people who may not have checked in and notified authorities that they are safe. If you're watching this, do that with authorities and we can take
all
your name
around the
off
Bay Area are lining up outside of stores to get their hands on protective masks. Night Beat's Andrea Borba on the battle to breathe and what it's really doing to our lungs.
If you're walking around the Bay Area wearing one of these, you might be wondering the effects all of the smoke has on your lungs. We spoke to a pulmonologist about what your body is doing now and what you can expect in the upcoming days and weeks. With smoke from the campfire choking California, scenes like this one are becoming more common. Lines in Union Square for Dyson air purifiers.
It's horrible. Like, I got kind of nauseated last night walking out in it, so tonight I have on a mask.
Dr. Michelle Johnson puts it this way: we have all picked up, against our will, a very nasty habit.
Mason. Mason. He's a little sedated right now. We just changed.
Yeah, that's our cat.
Oh, that's my boy. Don't kill me. I got you. I heard you.
Should have never ran away from Mama to the fire, bud.
Oh, that's my boy.
Thank you very much.
Really glad that we found it.
The air quality in Sacramento has now reached hazardous levels for the second day in a row, caused by the smoke from the campfire burning in Butte County. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. I'm Dina Kupfer. The Sacramento Air Quality Index right now is at 337. That is higher than Chico, just miles from the fire's path. Just for some perspective, at last check, the flames of the campfire have now scorched 142,000 acres. It is now 45% contained. Nearly 10,000 homes have been destroyed, and the death toll stands at 63.
People in Southern California have been affected by the Woolsey fire. At least 2 people there have been killed, and several firefighters have been injured. Here's CBS News correspondent Jamie Yukas.
So your house is right here?
Yep. On Friday, Jeff Roberts fled his Malibu Canyon home, only to return to firefighters with bad news. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you.
I'm really sorry.
Thank you. Memory's gone. I mean, it was all in perfect condition.
Are you kind of in shock right now?
Yeah, but I know we'll be okay. It's sad, but, we didn't get hurt, and that was the important part. This is when the impact of the fire started to sink in. The devastation would be bad. The intense and erratic Santa Ana winds just kept fanning the flames, taking with it
fire watch is scare for crews in the Santa Cruz Mountains. A fire broke out at around 11 a.m. near Bear Creek Road in the Boulder Creek area. KPIX5's Devin Feely is live where crews are still monitoring those hot spots. Devin?
Yeah, people living here in the Santa Cruz Mountains were understandably anxious this afternoon. This fire broke out in an area with steep, wooded, rugged hillsides. You can see some crews are still working in the distance on those very same hillsides. But a quick response is credited with keeping this fire largely contained. Initially, firefighters battled the blaze from the air, hoping to keep it in check just long enough for crews to climb up the steep wooded hillsides where it was burning deep in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
So we have 4 air tankers in orbit right now that are dropping actively on the fire, and we have 3 helicopters that are actively dropping on the fire as well.
Their strategy appears to have worked, cornering and corralling the fire to roughly 25 acres.